It's a mess. It's a real mess. I mean, it hurts me to show you this because it's like so untidy. But the problem is that when you actually need like this desk surface to actually do things, it's just a mess because you always have to like clean everything away and put things somewhere else. But the thing is, you don't really have somewhere else to put things. It's a mess. It's bad. Believe it or not, I'm actually a person who prefers keeping things tidy, but I'm gonna take you with me on my little design journey so you can see how my projects come to be. Here we go. Strap in. Get ready for the ride. Strap in. Remove your phones and I'm just rambling. I'm always rambling. Let's get started then. So I'll start by just making a few notes just to sort of figure out where everything is. And I also took the opportunity of asking you guys on Instagram what you think are the most important features of a working desk. Now that I have these notes, I will categorize them a little bit more, I think, just so I have like a good view of what's needed, what's wanted, some of the problems that needs to be addressed, and then I can start sketching. So I've organized my thoughts into 4 major categories: things, activities, problems, and needs and wants. And I also asked you guys if you have any ideas for important features of a working desk. And you actually had some good thoughts. But let's look at these categories then. So we usually have some camera gear, computer, documents, a plant, which doesn't have a pot. Can you relate to this? Can someone please back me up here? Plants with no pots. We have a bunch of random things, supplies, water bottles, coffee cups. It's a lot of things, especially when I see it this way. And some of these just shouldn't go on the desk, I feel. But let's move on to activities. So computer work, research, planning, paperwork, arts and crafts. And then we have the leisure activities, of course. Problems. It's hard to clean, things fall off the table sometimes. It's always occupied. You come into the room, you want to put something down, but there's no room. So where do you put things, you know? They just sort of pile up. It's hard to find things. It's distractive. It's a mix of temporaries and permanents. The plant, the lamp, the stationary computer, they're permanent. The hearing protection, the earrings, temporary things that really shouldn't be on the desk at all times. So that could be something to think about. And then of course we have the social aspect of it. There's like a social pressure to keep your workspace tidy, because if you don't, then you're a messy person. You might not care if my workspace is messy or not, but messiness is a negative association. And then the shame just, just makes me sad. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. The needs and wants, I feel like, are a little bit more connected to solutions, which is where your suggestions come into the picture. I think someone said something along the lines of you want to be able to like put your head on your desk and stretch your arms out to reach the far ends of your imagination. I think it really says something about what associations you have to your workspace, you know? So that one's important, I feel like. Reliability seems to be a pretty big thing for you guys. You want the desk to be stable. Let's move on to versatility. So I feel like the more specific solutions you add on to a desk, the risk of it being less versatile kind of increases. It's the things that happen on the desk that makes it versatile. Does that make sense? Obviously, you want to have space for things. Focus. You want there to be order. If you're not comfortable working at your desk, then obviously you won't be able to focus, you know? One of you guys said that you don't like desks with like bright and strong colors. You want to have like a neutral backdrop to whatever you're doing on your desk. To me, that makes total sense. I personally don't really care much for white desks. But this is where I am right now. So I'm actually gonna start trying to figure out like ideas that accommodate these needs and wants and hopefully solves most of these problems, at least, if not all of them. That would be awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna start ideating. So I think usually in a design project, when you're ideating, you are either sketching, brainstorming features and functions and ideas, writing things down. And then after that, you go into sort of developing that idea. But I think for this project, it feels more fitting to me to start modeling rather than sketching, because I know already that this isn't gonna be a very like conceptual idea of a desk. I want this to fit into a home environment as well, right? But if I did want it to be, I would probably start sketching earlier and try to figure out how this desk could be special. But I'm gonna keep modeling for a while to see if I can develop this base into a more well-defined design idea. So I've arrived at a place where I need to make a decision. I'm gonna show you where I am and how I got here. I'm gonna tell you about this decision, which I actually asked you guys about. And let me tell you, it didn't really help as much as I would have expected. I'll show you. So I started with the measurements of the actual desk surface itself. I think this is a pretty good size. It's 70 by 120 centimeters. The normal like indoor doorways in Sweden are like 75 or something. It would be nice to be able to actually move it from room to room without having to disassemble it. And more about that later. So that's where I started. Then I was like, maybe the legs look a little bit thin. So then I made the legs thicker. They are definitely very straight. I mean, just looking at it like this, it looks like the legs are sort of going inwards like this, which I don't really like. So then I tried to do some weird inside chamfer taper thing, but I did not like the appearance of this. I feel like it's way too like angular. So then I moved on and I just did a classic, what I call inside taper. I don't know, it looks a little bit more elegant. I really hope that the audio is working. This goddamn audio bullshit. I did ask you guys what you think are the most important features of a desk. And one of the most submitted answers was stability. But let's talk about that in a sec, because I made another little iteration of this, which has these, not chamfers, but like roundovers or fillets, which I think really adds a level of elegance. This one at the back here, the square one, I feel like is a little bit, for the lack of a better term, masculine. I don't know if I want to use masculine or feminine, but it looks a little bit more like utilitarian. And this one looks a little bit more like something that could actually, I don't know, snuggle you or something. But then coming back to the stability, I wanted to add these stretchers here. It looks good, it looks stable, it looks balanced, and it's the same thing here where I have one version which is like the more edgy or sharp one, and then the softer one, which I still prefer. I think at the beginning I assumed that the legs would be detachable. That was all fine and dandy until I added the stretchers. If the legs are going to be detachable, if it's going to be like a knockdown construction, the short side pairs of legs could be like an assembly of their own, and those could screw into the aprons and this long stretcher. The thing is, I'm not really sure if I like the expression of visible screws. Of course, there might be ways to make it invisible, but then I feel like I run the risk of not making it like an actual stable construction. Is it really mandatory to have removable legs on your desk? Obviously, it would make things a lot easier in shipping. When you have unscrewed and screwed and unscrewed and screwed enough times, it will get worn down. With a glued construction, it can obviously get worn down, but it won't get worn down from being disassembled and assembled.
Let's see for this next one.
This one looks even more, if we're gonna use that word, we might as well use it. This one looks even more masculine because now it's like, now it looks kind of industrial as well. For a home environment, I think this, it looks like it feels a lot nicer, and it probably does feel a lot nicer too. We do want to make nice things, right? I don't know if I'm explaining the problem properly, but I did ask you guys if you think it should be mandatory or optional or forbidden to have removable legs on the desk. And this is the result. So, you see, these kinds of decisions, there's just too many things pulling in each direction, you know? I'm gonna maybe have breakfast and make a decision, and then I'm just gonna go for it. I'm hoping that you guys can hear me properly and that the mic is working for once. So I think I want to go with this one because I think it's going to be stable with the added support of the stretchers. And I do like the expression more of this one. I think this is going to be more fun, and it's also going to be more beautiful, in my opinion, at least. So I'm excited. I'm going to make a nice piece of furniture. So I got to figure out how much material I need, and I'm also going to make a technical drawing so that I have everything specified when I actually go into the workshop and build, because that just makes things so much easier to actually have everything written down, laid out in front of you, so you can just build without thinking too much, you know. I'm going to do some planning, and then I'll see you in the workshop. So I printed my technical drawing, and it's by no means at all a professional technical drawing. It's just so that I have the measurements. So I'm gonna make a cut list, and then I'm gonna figure out how much material I actually need to make the desktop, for example, because I think I'm gonna need a lot of material for that. It's gonna be a big glue up. I realize now that I didn't really need to print this in A3 format because it's so big. What you gonna do? Figuring out cut lists is like the most boring thing about making furniture. I feel like I can stand forever trying to figure out the best way to like lay out all the wood pieces and how to cut this. At some point, you know, you just gotta make that first cut and then just go from there. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. It's always good to check the measurement, because otherwise you never know, you might end up with some bull. A little bit awkward, but we're okay. So I got the leg pieces, I got the stretchers, I got the support apron, whatever that is, and I need the apron pieces, and of course the tabletop pieces. But I'm actually gonna wait with cutting the aprons because I have a suspicion there will be leftovers from the tabletop that I can use for the aprons. Let's start figuring out the tabletop then. Yeah. Pretty good. This feels so sketchy. Okay. What now? Yeah. This works. Still young. Did you see that? Pretty cool, huh? If I remember correctly, I actually ordered 2 of those pine planks. You can never have too much wood, right? We'll just see how much material we can get out of this plank. And if it's not enough, I'll just get the other one. So I get 3 lengths from this plank. All right, let's make some cuts then. Big cuts. Making big cuts. I'll figure out how to cut these things because I want the grain to be as straight as possible. I think I'm gonna have to make a couple different cuts. Yeah, we'll see what we get. Okay, watch me literally saw my whole body off. That went pretty well. I'm gonna let this rest until tomorrow morning when I'll come back and I'll keep cutting. You see this? This is what makes it worth living in Sweden, in my opinion. When the sun actually comes out and the sky is all blue, because usually it isn't. Even though it's fastened, it moves. That's not good. How the hell does it do that? I was like, what the hell? Am I imagining things? But then this is where the cut started. So I ended up with a wider piece than I wanted, but hopefully I'll have enough material for the tabletop now. Rolling along pretty well, but I think this is as good as it's gonna get. Unfortunately, I cannot flip this one. There's a crack here, so I think I might just see if I can squeeze some glue in there just to avoid having that crack there. But otherwise, I think these look pretty good. There's a knot here. I think I'm gonna work for about 1 more hour or something, and then I have to get home and eat something. I'm having a lot of problems with my microphone. Maybe you've noticed. It's just so much bull. I'm about to bust a myth. To glue this crack, I'm gonna use a method I've seen on the internet, which is using the vacuum to like suck the glue into the crack. Let's try it. And now there's glue in the vacuum. It's the next day, and I think once I plane this down, it'll be pretty much invisible. So I think it's good. Pretty good. And I guess now it's time to start squaring everything up so I can glue this tabletop up. Let's do it. Well, that was fun. I thought that went pretty well, and I don't think I've ever prepared for a glue up as much as I just did. I think it paid off, actually. I will say 2 of the clamps were kind of shit. They just like loosened, which I think also kind of made the like alignment a little bit off. I don't think they're as flush as they could have been if the clamps were good enough. Did I convey that well? I glued it up in 3 sections, basically just so that they actually fit in the joiner and the thicknesser. So after I plane them down, I will be able to glue them together, and I might actually use something to keep them aligned properly. And then I can also start working on the legs, and the stretchers, and the aprons. I think most of the parts will be pretty easy, actually. Did I say something else important while I was gluing things up? Should I just add voiceover? I'm getting tired and I'm getting hungry, and I think that's it for today. I'll see you in the next clip. I'm using biscuits between these parts so that they align properly. Very important. And I could do this with the columns I used when I glued these up earlier, but I just want to make sure that they're actually aligned properly. And I know biscuits is a pretty good way of doing that, so that's what I'm doing.
Bye.
See ya. Thank you. There's some unfortunate, unforeseen marks here. I feel like I actually said that there would be marks here. I don't want there to be a bunch of huge marks on here, you know? But yeah, I'm just gonna try to scrape these off. What do you think?
This is fine.
Yeah, good width. And then the depth will be, yeah, to here. Whatever you do at a desk, I don't know. You do this and you do this. Yeah. Let me just try the width here. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, what do you do at your desk? You know, you gotta gather the sand and the dirt. Okay, let's start working on the rest of the pieces then. These are the leg pieces. The other pieces just need to be cut to length, basically, with like a 1 degree angle. But the legs are gonna have like a taper to them. So they're gonna get thinner the further down you get. They're also gonna have like a round over. So these ones are gonna take a little bit more work. It's chugging along. I feel like I'm trying to sell you something. Wood. So yesterday I made all of the domino holes, and I really want to make a dry fit of this whole thing, but there's one more thing I have to do, which is the taper. Well, that went better than it felt, and now I have tapered legs. Hopefully things actually fit together. So let's jump to that now. I'm gonna add this support stretcher between the long aprons because I do think it could be nice to have a little bit of extra support here, because then I can also use this one to attach the tabletop. And then I'm also gonna do the roundovers on the outside edges, the roundovers, but this looks pretty good. Look at that. There's one thing before I start sanding everything. So when the aprons and this little support piece that's going to be between the long aprons, I will route out like a groove that I can later use to attach the tabletop to the actual leg assembly. And then I'm gonna start sanding. It's probably gonna be a lot of sanding. And then I'm also thinking about painting the whole leg assembly. Let's just get going. Get this done, you know? I'm also extremely tired today. I don't know if you can tell. Oh my god. There were a few like dents in some of the pieces, and I thought, why not just wet them, because then that'll raise the grain, you know? And then I can just sand that down. And I think it worked pretty well. I've sanded the first pass now, so 120 grit. And since I'm gonna paint the leg assembly, I'm not sure actually if I'm gonna sand it further in terms of grits. Oh, scared me, buddy.
This is not the last time.
I hope so.
You hope so. That means I will scare again.
All right. Oh, it's very light. All right then. Let's get this out of here. It's like... So that's the leg frame all glued up. I'm still waiting for paint, because I actually ordered paint from a Swedish paint company called Volin. I'm very happy that they wanted to sponsor me for this project. Now I just have to cut the top to final dimension. We're finally here. It's time to paint. I haven't really thought about exactly how I'm gonna do this, but I think I'm just gonna do it. Ovolin were kind enough to send me paint, which I'm very happy about and thankful for. Thank you very much. I'm very excited. I think this is gonna look really nice. Okay, here I go. This paint is called äggoljetempera. Wow. Probably translates to egg oil tempera. Look at this. Which is basically linseed oil, water, eggs, and pigment. You don't really have to go very thick with this because it covers really well. You do want to go kind of quickly, which I'm not very good at. It's a natural paint and it looks really, really nice. Oh my god, this is gonna look so nice, y'all. Obviously, it's not gonna dry or harden as fast as just water-based acrylic paint. 12 to 24 hours between coats. You don't really need to use a lot of paint. You can actually paint very thin. As long as you make sure that the previous layer is dried properly, you can paint really thin and you can get like a really nice finish. Look at this.
Oh my god.
The final layer is on, and I will say I just didn't let it dry properly before I put on the second layer, so now it was actually super satisfying. I could just paint basically. So I'm very happy and it looks really good. I think what I'm gonna do this time is actually I'm gonna just use a brush. I have these very cheap brushes and I'm just gonna paint it on there and then wipe it off. Wipe it off. Oh my god. This is pretty even, isn't it? Here it is. It's done. I'm very happy with the result. I will say I think I would like to paint the frame once more, but for now this is definitely good enough. I need to continue working and get to the next furniture piece, which will be kind of an extension of this desk, like a continuation on this project. But now it's finally in our workroom and I guess I can start using it now. It is very nice to finally have it here. We do very much need the extra desk space. Now I guess I gotta figure out what the next piece will be. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, so stiff.